Guys, our friends at BioOptimizers just released their new and improved formula for Magnesium Breakthrough, the most powerful magnesium supplement on the market today. This new 4th generation formula means Magnesium Breakthrough is now even more potent and effective for reducing stress, improving sleep, and boosting energy levels. In every bottle of Magnesium Breakthrough, you're going to get 7 unique forms of organic, full-spectrum magnesium, which supports your physical and mental health. Just take 2 capsules before you go to bed, and you'll be amazed by the improvements in your mood and energy levels. In addition to Magnesium Breakthrough, pick up a bottle of Mazymes to help you build more lean muscle and P3OM to reduce gas and bloating. BioOptimizers offers a full 1-year money-back guarantee. If you're not happy, just send back your remaining unopened bottle within 365 days. They're going to give you a full refund. Visit biooptimizers.com/Chael and use the promo code Chael. That's going to save you 10% and get you free shipping, or just click on the link below. I heard a discussion about who Conor should fight next. Now, I'm as interested as anybody. Conor's never going to he's not going to tell us anything. Not what weight class, not what opponent. Going to make us all guess. But when we were in the process of guessing, somebody laid out the following scenario, that he should have, and I quote, a tune-up fight. Boxers do it all the time. Conor should not come in against Kamaru Usman. He should warm up with somebody else, somebody that he's got skills that match, that he could be competitive with. That he can go out and test himself and then go into Kamaru Usman. Okay. So this is obviously coming from the standpoint that Conor's going to be a 170-pounder. Now, let me ask you a question. If you could fight for a world championship right now, or you could go fight somebody else that you're likely to beat, and if you do, you can then go for a fight for the world championship. Do you know what a weirdo you'd have to be to choose to put yourself at risk? I mean, do you understand that? Like if any of you are going, well, no, Chael, that's what I would do. If I was coming off of an injury and I had the opportunity to fight for the title, or I could fight somebody else. Of course, if I lose, I don't get the title shot. But if I beat them, it would actually make me better and enhance my chances to get a title fight. That's the one that I'm going to do. You don't mean any of those words. You don't mean any of them. You're giving the answer that you think makes a level of sense. Now, I don't hate the concept. I do feel that Conor, who wanted to stay very busy in 2020, he was given 1 fight with Cowboy. He told anybody that would listen, get me back in there. But there was an idea to preserve McGregor versus Khabib Part 2. That because Khabib was going through, remember that with Ferguson? What were they, worked like 5 times? And then the pandemic hits and everything gets weird and everything gets delayed. But the whole idea of keeping Conor on the shelf and ready and hot on the chance of getting Khabib Part 2. What, 2 years went by? A full year went by? Lose track of time. I'm sure you guys could relate to that during this pandemic, right? But then all of a sudden he pops in and he's taking a very hard fight in Dustin Poirier. That he must have had a confidence that he could win because he'd already fought Poirier and beat him. And you never know how to factor in ring rust. You never know how to factor in how am I going to do since I haven't done something in a period of time, even though this guy's sharp. Yes, this guy's sharp, but I beat him last time. It's one of those things. You don't know till you get in there. And in hindsight, it did appear pretty clear that keeping Conor out, first mistake, but secondly, Conor jumped in a little bit too deep. So if we're going to learn from that, then definitely I do subscribe, in theory, to this tune-up fight business. Now, it would need to be worded a lot more eloquently than that and sold and explained. One thing that Dana does not do in the UFC is try to get somebody a win. What other promoters will call build fighters. That does not happen. Take on the biggest and hardest fights that you can at all times. Okay. People in the UFC have had their careers ended due to success. And the example that I will always give for you is Ronda Rousey. When Ronda left this sport, there was a lot of people she could still beat. But she was commanding main events. You had to headline her for what you had to pay her because she has something known as a contract. So in that case, if she's going to be headlined and she's going to be a main event, there were championship fights. It was just the next hardest thing. It was the absolute hardest opponent that you could find. But if you want to look at a top 10 where most fighters want to be, where most fighters will go off into retirement and brag to their kids They'll bring out an old magazine and show their grandkids, look, I was ranked number 8 in the world. I mean, it's a real thing. You get listed in the top 10. It's a real thing. That's where most fighters want to be. Ronda was. Ronda might have left this sport embarrassed, and she might have left overwhelmed by Amanda Nunes, but make no mistake, she did not leave because she couldn't do it anymore. Ronda could have beat a lot of those girls. It was just a different position of with her contract that she's commanding, the placement on the card. We can't get her, one of those girls. We can't not main event her for what we're paying her, and we can't sell her versus number 7. It's one of these very interesting points because Conor's in the same spot, and when I heard this whole tune-up fight, level of silliness, but when I heard this, it was juxtaposed against boxing, which for some reason we continue to do. Boxing has the worst model with the worst leadership and even worse contracts, but in MMA, we all want to be like the boxers. I don't fully understand that, but it's real. The boxers do not have a set contract the way that we do in the UFC. If you go out there and you're going to have an easy fight, you're going to get easy fight pay. UFC guys have a guarantee, and they're not going to come to the table and give me this because it's best for me, and I'm coming off an injury and a layoff, and I want to get ready. I want to help myself. Well, are we going to adjust your contract? Because legally we can't do that. We would have to amend that. I'm already guaranteeing you something. Conor's looking at very close to $20 million for his return fight. So who the hell is going to want to pay Conor $20 million for a return fight that's being advertised as a tune-up fight? It's just one of those things. It gets very weird very fast. It gets very weird that anybody would even suggest it. Now, there's ways to accomplish it. If that's what Conor thought and agreed with, Conor, who's a marketing genius, would come out and start a beef with that guy. Whoever that guy is, that's the tune-up fight, who matches up very well, which apparently we're looking at 170 pounds. Whoever that guy, Conor would just go start a beef with him. He would make it so that 20 could be commanded, that main spot could be commanded, that will be looked at, and that will be enjoyed. There's ways to manipulate all systems, but I'm just coming back to a very basic question. I do think Conor can walk right into a title fight. I do. I think that any champion would give him the opportunity. I think that any champion, Conor said, I'm coming back, it's at 170. I think that Kamaru would fight to get that match. And Oliveira has told anybody with 2 ears, I want McGregor. Forget about Islam. Forget about Gaethje. I want McGregor. Well, he ended up with Gaethje. Well, now Gaethje and Charles Oliveira are both saying, I'll give McGregor. So I really do think that he could walk right into a world title fight. What I'm asking is, what reasonable person would suggest to him that he should not do that? That he should go do something else and put himself at risk? I did the Celebrity Apprentice. Big game. But I prepped for the game. I prepped for the game by watching the other seasons. 3 people are going to get brought into the boardroom. Donald Trump's going to fire one of them. Now, there was 2 knuckleheads, and one of them had to go. And anybody that watched the show knew one of these 2 is going home. So another guy in the project, and you got to understand the show a little bit, but if you do understand it, you'll appreciate this story. One other guy in the boardroom prior to being eliminated and down to the final 3 did such a great job that he tells Donald Trump, he tells him, Mr. President, I have done such a great job. I am so confident. I will even volunteer myself to come to the boardroom. Trump said, is that right? So he took him up on the offer. You got 2 knuckleheads. Both of them needed to go. One of them for sure is. And then you have a 3rd guy who did a great job, who shouldn't have been there. And that's why Trump fired him. Trump said, they haven't done a great job, but you did something stupid. You elected to put yourself at risk. The only person that gets fired is in the final 3 right here. They have to be there because they screwed up. You're here because you chose to be here. You put yourself at risk. You're fired. It's a very valuable lesson, right? Even if it's a silly show, it was a very valuable lesson, and I remember that. So anybody that's telling Conor, who could get a world title fight at 2 different weight classes, which there's no other guy that you could say that about. Colby Covington is a #1 contender and can't get a title shot at his own weight class. He offered to leave the weight class. He got laughed at. Robert Whittaker is the #1 contender at his weight class. He can't get the opportunity. Like, could you imagine? Now you have a guy who's a contender in neither weight class, and he can get a title shot in either one of them. Great spot, but what's the point of having power if you're not going to wield it? So again, if you could fight for a world championship, which is what you really want, or you could do something else that's hard. but it might sharpen you up and up your chances of winning said world championship. Which do you do? And if you said this one over here, you're fired.